GM. Can't believe I'm starting a space saying GM. Hello, everyone. Guys, feel free to jump off mute. I'm very happy that everyone just jumps in and says hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Yo. Hey, hello.
Hey, Meela, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, everything cool here in Mexico.
Very good.
It's a really sunny day.
Oh, beautiful.
Well,
yeah, same here.
Not that sunny. I think I'm lying, but kind of sunny.
Okay, well, I'm here in the UK, and it's another heat wave here. Absolutely boiling sunshine. So,
it's very
crazy
hot.
Crazy.
Very hot.
Hello, everybody.
I can imagine.
I'm Ben. For those of you who don't know me, I am the host of this new show, which I'm calling NFTs Beyond the Floor, and this is episode 1 of that show. I'll be bringing it to you every Monday and Thursday. We'll be holding the show, I believe it's 9 a.m. Pacific time, midday Eastern time, or 5 p.m. here in the UK. I'm really looking forward to bringing you a show that kind of moves the discussion of NFTs and Web3 away from what I see as kind of the same old marketplace review and talk of floor price and talk of like, you know, what happened yesterday or maybe what happened this week, and really start to talk about what I view as the most important thing that I see happening at the moment in the NFT space, which is like the importance of storytelling and narrative building. So really focusing on how like projects are engaging their holders, what's happening in the wider Web3 space, and how we're onboarding new people, and to kind of communicate the broader value of a collection. Like, we've all been in the space now. Well, I say all. A lot of us have been in the space now for somewhere between, I don't know, like a year, 9 months, 6 months. And there are a lot of projects out there, right? We've seen them all, and we all hold many tokens of many of those projects. And I think now it's a really, really good opportunity for us to recognize the power of the narrative and what makes these projects unmissable if we're still holding on. And what I've done is I've gathered a panel of friends, and they're going to join me regularly. And then we're going to invite up a number of project leaders, founders, artists, builders, whatever you want to call them, and really kind of get into what they're doing, how they're delivering on their project, you know, what they've learned in the time. I think we're at a point in the Web3 timeline where it's probably good to take a breath and consolidate what we've learned so far, share it with our friends. And so, yeah, very quickly, I have invited up to speak Bex, Bobby, Tom Youngs, NFT Spaceman. Who else have I got here? NFT Zerk and Mr. Yellow. So, guys, like, feel free to come up and just say hello.
Hey guys, yeah, I think maybe a good opportunity to just do a round of really quick introductions, because we're going to be here for a long time.
I was thinking that, yeah. I think if we do it super quick, because what I propose to do probably in the next couple of weeks is hold our spaces without a project, so that we can really come up as a group and introduce ourselves to the people and spend a little bit more time talking about what we're up to individually. But yeah, absolutely. Tom, if you can go first, that would be great.
Really quick, yeah, absolutely. So my name's Tom Youngs. I'm a content creator predominantly. I also co-found or kind of co-run a Web3 agency called Unorthodox with my co-founders NFT Zerk and NFT Spaceman, who are also on the panel up here. And have had an exciting time making this my life over the last 12 months, and super excited to be here with all of you guys, and really, really excited to meet everyone else that's here.
Awesome. NFT Zerk, if you could do the same, please.
For sure. So yeah, same as Tom, started in the NFT space from YouTube, and actually spoke about both projects that are up here today on my channel because I loved them back then and still do now. So yeah, super excited to just be here, be part of it all, and see who we can get to talk to.
Amazing. And let's go next with Bex. Hey, Bex.
Hey, Ben. Hey, everyone. Great to meet you all here today. I'm Bex. I am the founder of Nifty World NFT. I was told a couple of months ago that I was the first female YouTuber about NFTs, which is quite exciting. So I been in the space for about 14 months now. I'm also a Web3 consultant, so helping businesses and brands transition into the Web3 space. So make content about NFTs, talk about Web3, help businesses with Web3, lots and lots of stuff there. So great to be here and to help part some knowledge.
Thanks so much. NFT Spaceman, you're up.
Hey, Ben. Great to speak to you guys. I have been in NFTs for over a year, like the guys alongside me. I've met people literally around the world in that time. It's been super exciting. I'm a degen dad, a bit older. I've had decades in corporate life before I quit that a few years ago for my own business in e-commerce. So yeah, just loving seeing the PAs, the creeps, the mutants, the PXN, the llamas out there, and really looking forward to getting stuck in and being involved over the next weeks. Ben, thanks for asking me.
Thanks so much. And Bobby, hey Bobby, how are you?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm good. I'm currently down on the sunny coast of Cornwall, sat in the van, ready to go.
I saw your tweets this morning, cooking on the coast.
Man, the life of a digital nomad, eh? It's the dream. I've been in NFTs since February 2021. I entered as a photographer. I sold my first personal NFT in March 2021. And then I binged Clubhouse for many, many months and then got burnt out, deleted it, spent 6 months away from the space, came back in December and got involved with the project, sold out the project, community managed for the project. That's come to an end. I'm now in the midst of co-founding a real yacht club, a global yacht club, and doing photography and doing spaces and joining in with this venture with Rug Radio, NFT on the floor. I'm super excited.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Great. So I think. Oh no, Mr. Yellow. Sorry.
I was going to say, cheers, mate. Don't worry about me. You know.
Apologies, Mr. Yellow. The floor is yours. Make it quick.
No problem. Web 2 wise, I'm a continuous improvement and lean expert, or not expert, but practitioner. In Web 3, I've been doing some. I've been here for about a year. Been doing some YouTube, some spaces, and trying to apply that same sort of thinking with projects as well, about how you just improve the way you deliver your processes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. So yeah, we will probably introduce this team of folk who are all interesting with very varied experience and knowledge a little bit more comprehensively, but that's not why we are here today. We are here today to introduce two fantastic special guests who have agreed to come and help out for the first episode of this series that I've been putting together. So first of all, well, I'll invite them up together because I know they're friends. But I've got Doug from Toy Boogers and Meela from the Robotos team. So hey guys, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How's it going? Yeah, I pretty much go by Toy Boogers or Doug these days. So
I'm not going to call you Boogers. I want you to come back. Hey, Meela.
Hey, hello. Hi, Doug. So cool to share this space with you.
Yeah, for sure. We do a lot together, and it's so neat to keep kind of bumping into each other in these different events and things. I think the last time we bumped into each other was the Robopolis opening, where I was jumping for about an hour.
Oh my God. Yeah, like you went hardcore there. Like we were like, oh my God, Toy has been like jumping around for a lot of time. And is it like Doug? Like, is it really Doug? Or maybe he's like, I don't know, he has a script or something. But then we saw that you were like typing and hanging out, and it was like, no, he is. Like, he's jumping there.
It was cool. Yeah, it's good to see you. And so cool to be here for this first show. Yeah, excited to jump in. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. So the format of the show, what I kind of want to do is I've kind of collected a number of questions which I want to put to people, really around kind of what it means to build a project post mint, and what it means to kind of continue to engage your community and build a narrative around maybe the characters of your PFP project, or what's been going on. But I think what I'll do is I'll ask the team just to put a hand up if you want to interrupt if there's a great conversation going on. Otherwise, let's make it a fairly open floor. I'm quite happy for people to just make it a round conversation, but I will try and bring some structure to it with a few questions just to keep a bit of order and keep my OCD in check. So I've got a first question actually, and I'll put it to Meela first. This space is obviously called Beyond the Floor, and I'm curious to know what you thought of that as a concept, and like how important it is for you and Pablo at Robotos to kind of avoid the conversation of floor and really focus on what you're trying to deliver.
Yeah, first, I think that it's important to give a little bit of context of myself.
Sure.
And I would say that, like, I'm a punk rocker, I'm a troublemaker, I'm this little fire starter. I'm really good at starting things. Like, I don't know, like, that's something that I'm good at it. And I believe that, like, this talent gave me, like, a lot of perspective of all the things you need to build an idea and to build something. I discovered also something funny. I'm a designer, but like my parents, they are psychologists. So I grew up like as a really free kid, and I discovered art through my parents analyzing my drawings. This is weird.
Okay.
But like they encouraged me a lot to create, and I grew in this like very creative environment. And then I moved on to study design, and after that, I end up working like in the biggest bank in Mexico. So being there as a design director and as an executive, like gave me some vision of how projects like have different scales. So I appreciate and believe like in floor talk, because it is like the talk of the present. It's like kind of a check-in on how the economy is doing today. And it could be extremely useful as a way to build community marketing and to build certainty. But as you said, it's like not the only thing. So as a creator, like I think that it's essential to have this kind of portfolio of signals of healthiness to understand with better perspective an NFT project. And this is something I learned in the bank. Like people that are working in professional trading, they used to try to see like a broader perspective of things. And there I learned like this pretty quick. I will tell you like 3 of those metrics or signals that can keep you like more focused on what a project is doing regardless the floor talk. And the first one is like to look if they are building momentum and like they have initiatives that are quick wins for the community. For example, things like this, like constant Twitter spaces, Discord engagement, jokes, funny bots, stickers. Like if they're doing low cost things that bring a lot of happiness, value, joy to the community, I think that's like a good metric to see if the community is healthy, if the project is healthy. Another one, this is called like the necessary evils, that these are like things that might be considered a waste. However, they are necessary to scale. For example, in Robotos, I remember that we were highly criticized about the big murals we were making. Because like, hey, Meela, these murals, they don't like move the needle of the floor. But for us, they were really important because they built culture inside our team and within our community. And maybe they don't move the floor directly, but they move the people that are creating value to the project. So I think that also, for example, the TV show, I think that maybe could be in this category. I'm not sure, but like it's something that doesn't move the floor directly in the short term, but that build value to the project in like other aspects. And the last one is disruption. Like I will say that it is important to see if an NFT project is building risky initiatives that may affect a lot of people and they will require a lot of investment, but that in the end they will push the industry forward. So I recommend that, like, to see if you are like investing in projects, or if you like projects that are building things that are different, things that are small experiments that cost a lot of energy. Maybe they are like moving the space to a better place, and I think that it's healthy. So I will say that like the floor is important, but it's also important to see this in a very wide perspective and to see NFT projects more as an organizations that just as JPEGs.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Great answer. And I'm going to, before I let everyone else jump up and jump all over it, because I know guys will be absolutely dying to talk about it, I'm going to let Doug come up and answer the same question, just because I think that's the right thing to do. And then we can have a good chat about it. But yeah, Doug, just the question back to you again, like your view on how important it is for you to kind of focus on what you're trying to deliver as opposed to the floor, although Meela makes a very, very good point.
Yeah, and I actually totally agree with all of those points and sentiments, and good ways to assess, and look at a project with a different metric other than kind of that floor metric. And I think I'd like to just say it's interesting because from an art, I'm the artist and founder of Toy Boogers, and from the very beginning, of course, there's all these, hopes and dreams of it just like, running wild and becoming like, a massive hit. But even before that, the first thing that we're thinking of as artists and founders is just like, okay, what is the project? What makes it unique? Is there a twist? What's the art? What's the story? And so much goes into that we get lost. At least I did, totally lost in this, the lore and the art, and then the world, and sometimes the tech and the floor and the marketplace and the economy, all of that, like we can easily forget about it as we're building, especially during the run up to it. And so I spent about 6 months making the original Toy Boogers collection, because they were all hand drawn and then hand mixed. That was before I even knew about, I knew about generators, but I didn't have a good generator software to use. So I just put them together by hand, but it made me do my collection a little bit differently, which was awesome, because I had, bodies and heads and all these, toys and weapons and fun stuff that the characters are holding. So it allowed me to be more freeform, which kind of expanded into the story, into the lore, and kind of just the art and the vibe and the mood of the whole collection. And also let me slowly build, the community as we're going along and meeting people. And because I didn't open up the Discord until way later, but the whole time, like, people were seeing kind of like, the style and the art and just the fun and the wackiness and the goofiness. And so I think what precedes, just, sharing my example, what precedes so much of the after drop, stuff is all of this just pure creative juice. And I think that's a neat starting point to go to. And then when you come after the drop, everything happens, and the market does what it does, and things happen, and then you get into that floor talk mode, and then that's where Meela's points really come into effect, where it's like, okay, well, what are you doing next? Is it simple engagements? Are you building something big, long term? Are you building a brand in the outer world? Is there more stories? Are the stories compounding? And that's what both of us have been doing for sure. I know I've been, I'm a holder of Robotos. I minted during the pre-mint. I love the project. I love Pablo and the whole team and everything. So always ready to drop them as an example of someone who's just constantly building and doing things and making fun stuff to do. And just the core community vibe has just remained intact, and the vision's still there. Everything's still there. So I think to us, especially, I know like this is like for me, even though we look at like the floor and we look at the market and we have to analyze everything, it still feels the same. It's like we're still coming from that creative juice, that build potential, the wild future. Like even though it's a bear market, we still have that bull like thought of the future. Like, wow, like, let's just keep building. Next year it's going to do this, and next year it might do this. But one thing's for certain: if we keep going and keep building, like we're here super early, and this is the time to like really take advantage and keep going. So. I just wanted to echo what she said and then connect it back to that, just like that initial creative juice and vibe and fuel really that got us all into this. And that's what we focus on and keep pushing forward with.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I'll invite the other guys to come up now and speak. Just very quickly from me, though, like I suppose in the conception of this space, my view was that there are two chains of thought, right? There are ones where there are people who really invest in a project because they love what's going on, they love the lore, they love the storyline, they love the characters, the team that are building it, and then there's another group of people that might just be like really focused on like flip and look to make profit. And actually what both of you guys are saying, and I think it's a really, really well made point, is that a healthy project requires a balance of both of those things. It needs to have space for creativity and the ability to create great stories, but also the ability to, the requirement to create a product that people feel is tradable and want to trade and live and breathe by. So I totally understand that. Guys, thoughts? Ooh.
I was just going to ask, both of the projects have been around for a while. What's been the biggest sort of, Discord blow up? These things happen. What caused it and how did you guys handle it? Because every now and again there's something that just goes off and sends the whole Discord wild. I just wondered whether there was any learning you've got from those episodes.
Like the kind of the mad hype moments.
What more the mad fun moments, really?
A little bit of both.
Like what triggered that to happen? Because it's often not really the flaw; it's something completely different.
Yeah, I think I could speak on that real quick. For us, when we did, so we've gone against the grain, and I love how Meela introduced herself as a punk rocker, and and a troublemaker. I could definitely say the same. So Toy Boogers, when we dropped that was kind of against the grain. It was a smaller collection. It was handmade. It was this 3,000 unit thing. And then when we did our second collection, Kit Bash Boogers, which was actually a collaboration with Robotos, Deadfellas, and Cool Cats and Toy Boogers, where I mixed their traits into our stuff and released a 1,000 unit collection. That got a lot of kind of backlash in different ways. It was highly acclaimed because it was, a major collab between these four great projects. But because it wasn't an expansion, it was actually more exclusive. It didn't follow that mold of like, everybody's getting an airdrop reward kind of thing. It was like, the second collection is actually harder to get into. And so that was a little bit of a definitely going against the grain, and then kind of unexpected. And so there was a fair amount of, I don't know if it was really FUD, but there was a little bit of complaints about like, not getting that standard kind of classic, expansion or airdrop kind of value thing. But what it was so unique and different. A collab between four projects, a full collection in itself, but very exclusive, only 1,000 units. Once it kind of, once we dropped it and it minted out and everybody liked it and loved it, that FUD kind of disappeared. But there was that moment kind of ahead of it where it was like, kind of, what are you doing? And looking back, I think it's great because we went against the mold, we went against the grain, and we did something really cool and unique. And I think it's something that, together with Robotos, Cool Cats, and Deadfellas and Toy Boogers, I don't think people will replicate something like this anytime soon, or perhaps really ever, where four major projects make a mini collection together and not like a derivative kind of thing. Like this was an official collection. So, but we did get a good amount of FUD, I think, just kind of going into the idea of it. And kind of maybe a little disappointment that there wasn't like that standard airdrop, but everybody's happy now though, because our next collection, Toy Stash, the hamster, all of our holders get a free one, and so that's we're doing that by script, where people are going to get a free claim for that for their current holding.
You dropped the Kit Bash Booger on the same weekend as the other deed minted as well. I remember that, and that must have been really stressful because that was just when all the ETH got sucked out of the market.
It's actually a really interesting story because you set these things in motion, and we have this whole team. There's 10 plus people on our team, and then our dev team is Pagsy Tech, and they have 10 plus people on their team, and like we all like blocked our schedules off for like that Saturday and just like had it all ready. And then you put everything in motion, so you can't really back out. And then we're like, all of a sudden Other Deeds announces that they're literally at the same day. It was like later, but it was like, oh my gosh, like we're going up against them. And so we're like, well, let's just get as much as we can kind of before the storm. And so I think it was like there was several hundred minted before Other Deeds, and then Other Deeds came, and you looking at like the graph, and this is kind of funny, not so much the floor, but just the graph, looking at the technicals, you see the mintings going, and then all of a sudden like they stop, and there's just like a period of like nothing for like the Other Deed storm, and then right after that it resumes, and then it mints out. But yeah, it was kind of cool to do that kind of through the other side. There's a little bit of almost like kind of funny like lore symbolism in it, because the Kit Bash Boogers collection was also kind of like the story is like it was us as collector, as these 4 projects coming together to re-go back through the Toy Boogers teleportation machine and get mixed up again. And we came out on the other side, literally and figuratively, both with the collection as well as what we were up against. But yeah, it was kind of, and there was some FUD for that too. People are like, oh my God, like, why are you doing it on this day? But looking back, it was actually, it was either before that or that day. That was literally kind of like the last chance to get in before the market completely changed, kind of forever. So it was kind of a good time.
Zarek, I can see you've come up a couple of times. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, the other side times was terrible. We actually had a project drop around that time as well, and it was like just dark days. We stood no chance, got absolutely slaughtered. But I actually had a point about obviously the floor talk, and it's interesting hearing you guys obviously creating new collections and sort of being these sort of art-led projects. I mean, I personally think it's great that project founders think about the floor. You need to have that as a line of reference, right, to ensure that what you're doing is right. I think a lot of projects out there at the moment, they don't consider their floor when they're creating new collections, and it's like, your floor price is under 0.1 or around 0.05. There's probably no point releasing another collection because it would just piss off your community, right? So, I guess my question to you is: do you have a point where you would say, okay, right, our floor is below this number, we're below this ETH price, we should hold back? Or do you just go full steam ahead with like everything you have planned? Do you ever consider it in that way?
I can jump in again real quick. So it is part of our constant discussions of making sure we do as much as we can to preserve value for our holders. But it's one of those weird things where it's like the floor in general is just totally out of our hands for the most part. I mean, of course, there's, like you said, there's those things that we need to do and look at and carry forward. And I think a big part of some of it is because you mentioned like another collection or this or that. When there's massive oversaturation, that can definitely be a problem. So you have to be careful. But a lot of the building, and especially like I know I speak for Meela for sure when I say this, like a lot of the building goes beyond just like the next JPEG. It's really like there's so much more dynamics in it, and then the metaverse is a big thing, which is multiple metaverses plans there. And so I think if someone was overly concerned with maybe the current price and saturation of the JPEGs, it's like, all right, we'll just switch gears and focus on the metaverse or this or that. Which it's not like that you just switch gears completely, because all these things are kind of on the pot burning. But I guess you could focus more on that, and I think that the balancing line is kind of like the saturation there. And that's one thing we've been really careful of. We're currently only at it seems like we've done a lot, but there's only 4,000 total collectibles. There's the 3,333 Toy Boogers and then the 1,111 Kit Bash Boogers. So we're still way less than the majority of projects that started in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some collections with 10k supplier, and they're releasing another 10k project. It's like, come on, guys.
Or 20,
but no.
20k.
Yeah.
But if you have the, it can be done right. And Robotos is a great example where, you have the 10k Robotos, and then the RoboPets were the companion. And it's a perfect, I think it's just a really happy medium. They're two totally different things, but they go together. They're synced up perfectly, and the whole community is really happy with it. And most people have multiple or more pets than their original. I think it just is a good thing, because they don't really compete with each other in terms of kind of floor dynamics or this or that, but they definitely build the lore and the story and the art, and they're just fun and very enjoyable for all of us holders.
Oh, thank you, Doug.
For sure.
This is really cool coming from you, because I respect you a lot as an artist. So thanks so much.
Also,
for Robotos, the floor for sure is part of our discussions, and I think that what we try to do is to deliver value to our community, so that value could be reflected on the floor. Sometimes it is in the short term, like the first Robotos ball run, for example. We went up and people were really, really, really happy because we were experimenting with what our roadmap would be, and building the microverse and doing the first experiments there. So I believe that in that time people got pretty excited, and that value was reflected in the floor price of the collection. But also we think in sustainability, and also we are always thinking how can we deliver value permanently, in the long term. How are we going to have, once again, I'm going to speak about this, how can we have a portfolio of ideas that could help us to solve this pathway and to be relevant, not for 1 year or for 6 months, to be relevant for 10, 20 years. Pablo and myself, we have this vision that for us, Robotos is going to be a cult collection, those cult movies that generations of people love and and they speak about their creators as legends. We wanted that our community could be a cult community and relevant culturally for 10, 20 years. So floor is really important. It's a really cool metric, and you have to have a strategy to build value in short term, but also a big vision.
Amazing, guys. I'm going to move the next question on. Sorry, Mr. Yellow. I'm conscious of a couple of other questions I'm really, really curious about. One of them particularly is let's move over to the storyline and the storytelling element of the project, because my view is that really the projects that do offer the most value to their members, their holders, are the projects that develop a really, really strong storyline, and so that people are really able to engage with what's going on and get excited about it, and maybe lose a little bit of the anxiety of where the floor might be at with a project. And I'm wondering, in terms of you and your projects, I know you've got each of you have got animated series coming up as part of the roadmap that you're delivering and things like that. How do you go about creating storyline, and how do you go about creating narrative? Do you have specialists that help you build out lore, or do you come together and workshop it, or is it you guys as founders? Is it you, Meela and Pablo? How does that work for you? I'll start with Meela and then move over to Doug, if that's cool.
Oh my God, storytelling for us is everything, for Robotos, but also for Pablo, for myself, and for our team. Storytelling is one of the biggest tools we use, and that built the whole vision of Robotos. A year ago, Pablo and I were sitting here where I am in the middle of our living room, dreaming about a world in which our community will help us to build the whole story of Robotos that we had in our minds, and thinking about the possibilities of how technology could help us to bring this story into life. And now, like, we have a name for that dream. That dream is called decentralized storytelling, and it's a way to build storytelling with your community. And I don't know, it's super, super, super cool because now we can literally walk the streets of our dream in Robopolis. And like now we have celebrities and characters that like are inside this whole story of Robotos that are people like that have stories behind. And for us, storytelling is something pretty organic. Like when we participate in storytelling, is just giving prompts to our community and giving them some ideas and listen to them and building the story of Robotos with them. So this also help us a lot in the culture of our organization or our community, because we are really committed to the story.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Doug, how about you? How are things like that managed in Toy Boogers?
Yeah, so the examples and things that you said, all the different, is it organic or do you have like consultants or this or that? And it's pretty much across like the NFT project as well as the animated series. All of that comes into play on the speaking from the NFT collection in the beginning of like where the project came from. It happened much more organically, and it was initially like the lore of Toy Boogers was basically these characters are basically us who tried to teleport into the metaverse, but we got mixed up with our NFTs. And so you emerge as this, crazy character. You emerge with, some people came in as monsters or toads or cats or apes and all sorts of, funny mix-ups. So there was this kind of personal connection. And I think that's where the lore really is really powerful. And I know Robotos has this a lot too. And there's a lot of this kind of like, personal association that you have with your NFT for many different reasons. Sometimes it's just you like the way it looks cool, or there's an item or a hat. But when the story also kind of like reflects you, or is part of kind of what you or that you contributed to, I think it's even more powerful. And with Toy Boogers, it was kind of like I just thought it was a funny idea because this is 2021. Everybody was rushing into NFTs and like what's next on the horizon. We're all rushing into the metaverse, and so like my lore was kind of like, well, this is just us rushing into it, and what came out is we teleported in and got mixed up with our NFTs, and now we're all these funny characters, and the community really resonated with that. It was just a fun idea, something you could identify with, and your NFT was like you. It was like, oh, that would be me if I just jumped in right now, kind of thing. And then where it went was very organic in the Discord, just putting up the funny stickers like Meela was talking about, just doing fun little like, kind of these quote unquote low budget things that just people have fun with. And so we were constantly putting these funny stickers in of just like the different Toy Boogers. And there's this little hamster character, Stash, who's known as Stash now, and that's the focus of our next collection. But Stash, he kind of evolved in that whole, just the Discord chat and making the stickers. I made funny stickers where he was like holding like a taco, and then he was holding a heart, and then like a skull, and then spray paint, and all of a sudden like the hamster started to develop like a life of his own, and kind of became like a main character out of the the wild collection. And so and then he got a name, and then he got more and more toys, and just kind of built up. And so as I was building the story, he became a central part of the story, and so it was kind of natural and organic in that way. And then kind of from a more organizational standpoint, pretty much everybody on my team, especially Fresh Biscuits Jim, is kind of like the lore master. But anytime anybody's in Discord and like somebody says something funny or interesting or kind of wild, we do consider it, and a lot of the times that stuff kind of gets like written into the narrative, or just kind of like the collective narrative. And so I think it really is like this group project, especially with the community, and some of the coolest stuff. And I know, again, it's the same with Robotos, has just come from some random contributor who just had some funny idea. Like,
Love it.
Yeah, we encourage a lot creativity inside our Discord and wild and crazy ideas. Like we vibe a lot with like yeah, with people that like to have fun there, you know, like
Hmm.
because I don't know, fun is something that it's pretty contagious and gives a lot of bonding inside the community.
Absolutely. Bobby, go for it. What's up?
I was going to say how important storytelling is overall for anyone who's entering the space, because it's obviously a very audio centric space, so it leaves a lot to the imagination. There needs to be, you know, the storytelling aspect of it needs to be pretty solid, and like every story starts and has a beginning. Like, look at how we started the show today. We all told our story of how we got to this point today, and there are little things that happen along the way. I think the NFT journey as a whole, telling that story of how we all, you know, we started in a lockdown and we came into the real world, and we decided that the real world wasn't good enough, so we stayed inside the Twitter metaverse, and so on and so on. There's like a saga that's folding out. And then there's the other side of things with the crypto, the ETH going up and down. It's just like one big, massive,
soap opera.
Yeah. just look at the amount of drama that has happened in the space and how addicted people became to those spaces.
Oh my God.
It's like watching. It is like watching your daily soap. And these are. I mean, there's no coincidence that it's been formulated. It's been manipulated for us to be here and enjoy that and be entertained off that. And I think that's because it's very human. Although we're just voices with little PFPs, like pinging out of your little black mirror, your screen, we are talking about things that resonate with the audience. We all are humans behind this PFP, and that became very true for me about 2 weeks ago when a project founder passed away of a project that I bought many months ago, and it just made us realize that, you know, we're all humans behind this, and we're sort of like sat around the campfire now. We're like the cavemen of yore, and we're sat around the campfire telling the stories, and, you know, the Toy Boogers have been away doing this, and we've been doing that. That this is our version of talking about the hunts and the wars and the many things we've been up to behind the scenes. And that's why I think like dropping audio, Clubhouse, Twitter has been, you know, a huge success.
I think I posted a Medium article this morning actually about like the power of storytelling and the fact that I think it's become the ultimate utility in a project. And if you think about the fact that an NFT can represent a piece of artwork, a music track, something physical, your persona, like who you are through a PFP. If you think about all of those as like pillars, they are essentially what it means to tell stories and what it means to bring people together to build relationships or to teach lessons. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think we're just starting to, it feels like we're just starting to peel back the onion a little bit and start to understand that some of these projects and some of the people that we've met along the way now are the people that we want to hang around with, or the projects that we want to hold on to. And that was really the kind of the thought process behind creating the show. Is this is now a space for people to hang out and learn more, and maybe invite up some. And I really applaud Meela and Doug in the sense that like it's an opportunity for people to drop the like wag me. You know, we're all going to make it like the act a bit, and just kind of be real about the fact that, you know, we're talking about stories, we're talking about bringing people together and creating brands, businesses, opportunities. You know, it just that was really the focus of the article I said this morning. Hey, Spaceman, what's happening?
Hey Ben, I think well, I really enjoyed your article, by the way. I thought it was absolutely spot on. And
Thanks.
I just wanted to jump up to say to Meela and the guys, like, it's just fantastic to just hear the passion that you've got for your projects. And you know, I'm a guy who's sort of in two halves really. I'm not the most creative guy, but I do love collectibles. I love art. I love storytelling. I love community and people. And, you know, where you're talking about sort of organic storytelling and how elements of the project are built from the community, I just think that is, a fantastic thing, and it didn't exist historically. And isn't it amazing that you've got holders who are so close to creators through projects? It's just a fantastic element. The other half of me is very commercial. Decades of working in business and commercial. So I'm keen to just ask the guys, and if they maybe have a story about being approached by maybe an overzealous business focused person over the project so far who wants to turn their project into a commercial entity and make it all about commercials and what will sell, rather than what the community wants and the organic storytelling that clearly they're both so well built on.
Yeah, that's a good point and interesting question. So the first one, I think it's so cool that like you said, this didn't exist before, where all of a sudden all of these characters kind of emerge, all at once, especially if it's like a 10K type of a drop. And there's all these like amazing characters that have a lot of depth that you can go with. And that's where that fun thing comes in, where, either, we mint it, we buy it and we see it. And then immediately, like, we make a story. Like I do that, at least, like every time I mint something, it's like I'm trying to like figure out almost like, oh, that character, like this is his deal. And then you kind of like just, really quickly, you could just kind of explain what that character is. And I think that's what's been really fun with a lot of the holders in the Toy Boogers project is just kind of making their own story of like what their character is. It's like, why is this monster, holding a popsicle or this or that? And it's just like, they come up with a funny story and it's like, that's that character. And so, yeah, just that the potential, the kind of the blank canvas, even though we're giving them a whole collection at once, it really is a blank canvas in terms of like a lot of the narrative that you could put into each individual character. And so that I think that's what's so fun for holders who also have that creative streak, who want to like, vibe and connect with it, is they'll come up with names and stories. And I think that's just so fun. And I do that all the time. So I'm constantly like coming up with just silly, it might even just be like the scene, like what's happening in that scene. But yeah, in terms of like the commercial side of it, we've all, I think, I know for sure, Robotos and many of the other projects, have gotten approached by, different entities for different things. And for both of us, the one that definitely made the most sense was, when Time magazine approached both of us separately, Robotos first, with the idea of making the animated series. And so that was something, kind of flipping your question a little bit, that was like the perfect kind of case scenario and the perfect partnership that approached us. And for me, it actually, Keith Grossman approached me really early. And so that was kind of in, it was started. And so there was other opportunities and things that came up, but because it didn't really fit, we didn't really pursue them. But there's tons of stuff that comes up. And half are good or could be good, and then half are just like scams, or just not necessarily scams, but just like marketing schemes. And so every project gets hit with multiple marketing schemes. But yeah, the storytelling part, and I know this resonated with Pablo and myself and Littles, and is just like this, looking back after talking with Keith many times and getting the Toy Boogers animated series partnership deal going. Now it almost like feels like that was like an essential part of our pathway, and is an essential part of our future. Even though initially it was kind of like, it was the idea, like the potential and the excitement for something like that was, there's, the sky's the limit in terms of what's possible. And so we didn't really anticipate that, but once it happened and we got it in, it feels like that was the exact right thing to do. And just like a perfect fit. And it was like, it's almost like, now that I look at it, it's like, yeah, it's like Toy Boogers was always meant to be this, to go in that direction and to really dig deeper into these characters who, are exploring the metaverse, literally, because that's like the lore is that it's just us, jumping into the metaverse and getting all mixed up and all the wild, wacky adventures that will go on there. So kind of flipping your question a little bit to the partnership that actually made the most sense, and it's taking us in the direction we want to go, which is also giving us the freedom to do it in the way we want, and the vision and all of that. And so it's just a totally different thing with the Web3 kind of environment, especially with time though, because there is other companies that would have kind of steered you or strong armed you. So I think that's we were really fortunate to embark on that pathway.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I would like to just like say something really quick, that for us building like the commercial side of Robotos, I believe that like our secret sauce, or our secret salsa in Spanish, is like to speak about the future of humanity. We believe that like speaking about the future of humanity is something pretty universal, is something that we all want to dream and we all want to speak about. So like building around this question, I think that it's something that will let us to, I don't know, to a broader audience in Web3, but also outside Web3, and also having really good art. Like for us, that's something really, really important for our commercial side. Like we have every piece of art that our brand delivers has to be perfectly executed and has to be really, really, really beautiful and tell a story. I think
Awesome.
that's the two things.
I think that's all really, really important. Bex, I'm conscious that you need to jump off in 7 minutes. So do you want to make a point?
I just wanted to, I suppose, ask a question, which actually goes right back to what Meela was talking about at the beginning. Not to jump around too much, but it really struck with me is that I know that we kind of highlighted that there is a balance between, I suppose, the artistry and storytelling, and also the kind of the return on investment for people as well. And Meela, you mentioned disruption in the space, which I think is absolutely what this space needs. It's been stagnating with the same kind of PFP sort of strategies for a long, long time. And it's about what do we do to move the space and the ecosystem along. I would just love to ask both you and Doug, like, what your views of disruption within this space look like for people, because I think a lot of creatives and a lot of people that I speak to struggle with how to define what disruption looks like and what they can do for their projects, and it would be good to have projects with such heritages like yourselves who are keen to kind of see more disruption in the space to move it forward, as how you would define that and what advice you would give them.
That's a really good question, and a pretty deep one too, because I think it gets down to just like doing what you believe in and what you want to do, and just following your vision, and also just kind of letting your vision take you, because sometimes it might go in a way that you didn't expect from the beginning. But I think like with me. Again, doing the initial collection of only 3,000, and they were handmade. It was kind of different. It was a bunch of different characters. It wasn't like one character. It was different. So it wasn't disruptive per se, but it was different enough that it had kind of like it was fresh in that time, because it was most of the other things that were dropping were had shoulders up kind of PFPs, and all of a sudden I had like these full characters. So that was just a subtle thing that was different. But then, like going forward now, like another thing that we've done, and again, for me, it's not so much disruptive, but like Stash, our hamster character, is coming up next. And this is where we've kind of flipped the script in terms of like the main character coming out. Most projects, their first drop is kind of like the main character, and then everything else is like, supplementary pets, companions, or something new. Whereas with Toy Boogers, we started with this kind of general collection. It was like all of us jumping into the metaverse. And then now what's revealing now is that this hamster who was in the original collection is like the mastermind of it all. And so like the main character is emerging afterwards. So in a sense, it's kind of disrupting that normal model of like initial drop and then companion drop. This is like, we kind of had our ground floor drop, and now like the main character is emerging. So I think just the story and the process we did was different, but not necessarily disruptive. And so I guess that my point is you don't have to be majorly disruptive or do something super technical or crazy technically challenging or unique or different or, all sorts of crazy like staking and DeFi operations. It could just be following, what you want to do, doing your story, maybe doing your art a little bit different, the presentation different, the numbers different. And as long as it's, I think coming from a creative place and kind of coming from your heart, you'll get some movement there. And yeah, good question.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Meela, what does disruption mean to you, and how would you encourage it in more founders and builders in the space?
I totally resonate with Doug. Like, disruption is something that doesn't have to be very technical. I think that disruption is like, it happens when you look inside of you and inside of your team, is when you really when you are really conscious about like the things you can do for the world, for the NFT space, or for yourself. And then when you have this consciousness, then you start to have ideas, and those ideas sometimes are really big. And I don't know, disruption comes from those ideas that give you fear, that move you from your comfort zone, and they look really crazy, like, or impossible in the present, but they make sense in the future. So I think that, like, if you want to be disruptive, the first thing is be very conscious about what you can do and what your team can build, and after that, look for the crazy things that you have to invest a lot of energy and have a lot of discipline, because disruption is not easy. And I don't know if Robotos is the most disruptive NFT project now, but like at first, like, I think that we were one of the first collections that were animated in like GIFs, and this was not easy, but we were like, you know what, they will look cool, like, we need robots with movement, they will look funny, and we thought like people will resonate with this. Okay, so to build this, we need like to build our own tools to develop this. So at first it was like, oh my god, this is too much, because we can just deliver static images in a week and that's it. But like, we were like, you know what, yeah, but like, this tool will help us in the future, or this tool will help other persons in the future, so it's worth it. So I think that, yeah, that's the way we create disruption, like just being very conscious about what we can do and trying to do our best to deliver those crazy ideas.
Amazing.
That's
Doug,
awesome. Oh, do you mind if I just wanted to jump onto what Meela said real quick? I just wanted to
sure.
give them props for like everything they've done, because that it's kind of like, yeah, like doing their best is disruptive because they're raising the bar. And I think that's like the summary of it, is like, yeah, if you do your best and it's way better than everything else, like you're disrupting things just because it's better and more complete. And I've always actually looked at Robotos that way, because I noticed that the entire initial collection and the RoboPets was animated, and it's like flawless. It's like, wow, like that took a lot of work, and that was at a time when the tech was not where it's at today. And then on top of that, they keep doing stuff to add, again, just kind of wanted to cheer on Robotos a little bit, but they've built so many tools to, like, you can dress up your Roboto. You can go to their own metaverse that's active, the Robopolis. There's the RoboPets, like there's the stories coming out. And so, like, every time I look at Robotos, I'm like they're doing something else. They're doing something like something else is coming, something more and more. And so I think they're disruptive in this really good way of just like constantly doing stuff that sometimes is technical, or just providing, or just doing something fun. And so there's really like nothing stagnant over there. It's like, I think Robotos is like the opposite of like a stagnant project. It's literally like the most dynamic and just like progressive way. And so I just wanted to compliment you on that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Book. Yeah, like, I don't know. We are always like I started telling you like we are kind of punk rockers there. Like we are always going with the wild ideas. And because I don't know, we have fun. That's something that it's also important for disruption. Like if you are not having fun, then I don't know, like it's difficult to have discipline to be there and to show up and to work every day for your vision. So
Yes.
that's also something really important, to build a place where you can have fun and creative freedom.
To have fun and that freedom just to be yourself. Like even the name
Yeah.
with the Spanish names, I love that. I love how it's Robotos and there's Helmitos and there's all these, cultural references. I really liked that. And that was something that drew me to it as well, was just that authenticity.
Fantastic. Doug, I'm really conscious of your time. Have you got a few minutes or do you need to jump?
I do. Yeah, no, I'm good. I can say a few more minutes. Yep.
Oh, cool. Well, I wanted to, Mr. Yellow, you jump up with a question, dude, or a comment, just because I've got like a final question I'll take the guys to before we invite the crowd up.
Just another one to Meela. I love Bueno, and I know a load of projects are using it. How does Bueno fit into that then as part of the innovation that you're doing?
So Bueno is a company that Pablo founded like a couple of years ago. And at first, that company was called Blush. Also, Blush exists, and Blush is they sell like really really cool illustrations. And when we built Robotos, then Pablo saw a big opportunity in the NFT space. So then Bueno started to build like their own tools to help other creatives to do their own NFT projects. So for Robotos, that relationship between Bueno and Robotos is that when Robotos is a client of Bueno nowadays, and like they help us with our microverse and with the stuff we are building.
Amazing. I'm just gonna move on because I'm conscious of time and it's being recorded, and I feel like an hour of people's time is about enough, and anymore suddenly it starts to get quite long. So I'm gonna ask just quite a leading question, and I'll ask it to Doug first, because then Doug can feel free to jump off when he's answered it. But the question I wrote down was, if you could go back to the month leading up to your mint of your initial project and tell yourself the most important thing to remember based on what you know now, what would that be and why?
Oh man, that's a good question. So the NFT excuse me, the NFT space is filled with all these like, oh my gosh, what would I have done in that month? It might actually just been the alpha of the go mint this project or go mint that one, not even focused on kind of what we were doing. But I guess it's so funny because like everything that happens is like really meant to happen, and like even the bad stuff that happened like set us on a different course, where maybe we lost a team member, or we got like when we found our new dev partner, Paxi Tech, our previous one didn't work out. And so it's like, I guess it's just keep going. That would be the advice, is just keep going. With every single endeavor, there's going to be resistance, whether it's NFTs or business or health or whatever. There's always going to be a road bump and resistance. And so the bottom line is just keep going. If you believe in it, you got a goal, you got a plan. That's the big one, set a goal, make a plan, and then just keep going.
I love it. Yep. Meela, so Doug, if you do drop off, then I just want to say thank you so much for coming up and joining us. If not, then
sure.
Cool. Look forward to speaking to you in a sec.
I'll stay on a few more minutes, but thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be here for this first session, and a pleasure talking with everybody.
Great. Well, I'm sure we'll have you back on, and it's been fantastic. Meela, same info to you. Well, same question to you. Like, if you could go back and warn yourself, or remind yourself, or give yourself some advice based on what you know now, what would that look like?
Oh my God, I have to say that I'm really cheesy. I'm really, really, really cheesy. So I don't know. I would say to myself, like, hey, Mila, don't forget that you are a really, really valuable human, regardless your mistakes, regardless what other humans could think about you. Like, you have a lot of value. Because I believe that when you are conscious about the value you have as a person, and when you are conscious about yeah, like yourself, and when you love yourself, then you can build whatever you like, because then like you start to feel joy of just being alive, and like having the power to build things because you are creative. So I think that I will say that to me, because for me it was really difficult sometimes, because for example the barrier of the language, you know, like I was terrified speaking in English. I'm really proud that I could nail this space really well, because English is not my first language. So for example, that used to terrify me a lot, and I used to devaluate myself because it was difficult for me. Or when people like speak about us like, hey, you are not doing this well, hey, your work sucks, hey, you are responsible of my money, hey, whatever, I used to feel really, really bad as a human. So after a year of working on myself and working on Robotos, I just discovered that like when you honor your value as a person and as a human, then like you can build whatever you like.
Yeah,
Amazing.
you definitely learn your worth being in Web3. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the amount of hours you have to put in, you'd start to really value those hours that you are putting in, and the hard work eventually will pay off regardless. I just wanted to ask a question about being disruptive. Obviously, being disruptive can be described in many ways. And as a project founder, how do you deal with people who are disruptive from the community without telling them that they're fudding? And is it all right for a community member to be disruptive and maybe sway a decision that you make in terms of the direction of the project? For example, I think a lot of Moonbird holders would have wanted to see something done differently than what happened. And should people have been more disruptive in holding them accountable for the fact that they'd invested their money or put their money into that in the first place? Just in any project, though, not just that one, just in general.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mila, were you going to jump in?
Go for it, dude.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's a little bit different with like the Moonbird kind of level, these like, blue chips, especially after people invest, at super high levels. But with kind of your standard collectible collections, there is definitely a toleration for a fair amount of, feedback, really. And as long as it's respectful and constructive, then a lot of times we get really good insights that way. And it usually comes about pretty nonchalantly. Someone's just kind of chatting in the Discord. I think where it gets nasty is where, all of a sudden someone appears kind of from nowhere, and they're talking about the floor, they're talking about this or do this, or you can tell they're kind of coming, they're already angry or something. And so the project might not even be the problem. It's just something else is going on. But I guess we've always allowed it as long as it's respectful. As soon as anybody gets disrespectful towards anybody, then we usually kind of try to change the conversation, or sometimes even have to mute them. And so, and I've seen this with many servers where it's kind of like, for the most part, anything goes as long as you're respectful. And then that feedback a lot sometimes is actually really valuable. But I think it is different for a project like us versus someone like a Moonbirds, where people were coming in literally as investments, in tens of thousands of dollars. It's a pretty big different scenario, and maybe that level should have more accountability. I don't know, but with us, it's definitely a different scenario.
Yeah, I feel that like it's very important to hear the feedback and the ideas of your community, and then look if those ideas fit in your vision of the project. I think that it's cool to hear what people think, but you also need to set healthy boundaries, because I don't know, like if you don't have a vision, and if you don't have like a really strong position of what do you think is the future of your project, then it could be really difficult to deliver it if you are just just like looking for opinions outside. So I think that it's like you have to build a system where you can hear your community, but also like always check in with your vision, and yeah, that's the way we do it.
Mm-hmm. You both
Yeah, that's such a
so,
good point. I was just gonna say that healthy boundaries. This is such a good point. Like, you have to have your vision and your kind of like comfort zone, and then just there's certain boundaries where it's like, all right, you're either you've gone too far or not. But yeah, because the NFT space, if you let your community push you around, I shouldn't maybe say push you around, but there's been many examples of projects where it kind of got out of hand a little bit with like the vision of the founders versus what the communities wanted to do, and then you get this. It creates a strange dynamic, and so I think what people do want is they want, you know, a Pablo Stanley who has this vision, and the Meela, people who have a vision and a plan, and then you just want to have faith in them and just go for it. Versus if you feel like you have to be there to make the project right, it's like, well, maybe you should just start your own project. So
yeah, that's the same with spaces as well, isn't it? People have come in and said things about spaces happening, and there's a little red thing up in that corner that says leave. So it's like everyone has free will and autonomy in this space, and
yep.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm always saying like, hey, like you are an adult. Remember that, like, remember you are an adult, like you have your own money, you are an adult, and you decided to enter into this dream with us. So never forget that. And that helps me like to feel a little bit less responsible of life. And yeah.
I mean, speaking of disruptive, Twitter is playing up and bugging out at the moment. So if anyone's followed anyone that's on this stage, or you've heard anything that you liked and you've tried to follow someone and it's showing that you haven't followed them, Twitter's bugging out. I've followed a few people on the stage, and it's now telling me that I haven't. So yet some people have followed me, DM me saying, hang on, what's it say? Oh yeah, it keeps saying follow, and then you click back onto their account, and then it's follow, and it's like, come on, Twitter, it's 2022. Keep like how they bugs, I don't know, but there must be something going wrong with the app.
Yeah, I noticed it the other day. I was following a bot that was telling me which tokens had been sold in a particular project, and it just wouldn't let me follow it. So, yeah, they'll fix it. They'll get round to it. But guys, this has been so much fun, and I think it was fantastic to get two projects up who are known to one another. So to get Toy Boogers and Robotos in the same room at the same time is fantastic. I think going forward, one thing I've learned is we will probably bring in one project at a time, because I do think that there's so much we could continue talking about, but I am just really, really conscious of time, and I would like to invite a few people up from the audience. So if you have a question, or I would appreciate it if it was not something that required war and peace as an answer, but please request. I know Cave Guy has been requesting for a while and is, I believe, a holder for both projects. So I'm going to invite Cave up now to speak. Hey, Cave.
Hey, GM to all. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly.
Guy.
Man, this has been a great space. I think it's awesome. I think we got to see many shades of all the beautiful speakers on stage. I did have one question, and that was for Meela, if that's okay.
Sure, shoot.
Meela, my question for you is, what is your favorite Robotos trait, and why is it the Mileto?
my favorite Robotos trait is the Meela bangs that I'm rocking in my profile picture. I don't know why. I think that Pablo made a mistake and he named this trait Mia bangs, but it's actually Meela bangs, and I think that it's the coolest trait in Robotos and the coolest haircut in the blockchain.
I think you're pronouncing it wrong, though. It's Mileto.
Okay, you're one of those, are you?
Oh my God, those muletas! You know what, Ben? Like muletas are the most. I think that are like the most expensive trait or one of the top traits, just because I don't know. Cave Guy and Cousin Terry always promoting the redheads.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. Guys, any other questions from the audience? I'll put that over to Doug. Actually, Doug, favorite trait from your collection from Toy Boogers, and we'll go Toy Boogers 1.
It's so hard. So what we've the answer, it's hard to pick one booger. Is the cheesy
head. Come on, dude. Taco head.
I know. So yeah, the taco head definitely is up there. The donut head is pretty high up there. Like, that's what happens. I start to list it, and then I think of another and another and another.
It's got to be rainbow poop, though, surely.
Yeah, iconic traits and toys. Definitely the rainbow poop. The unicorn poop is one of my favorites. And then the simple smile that I have on my PFP. It's just like this cheesy little grin. Something about that I really, really like. And so sometimes it's just like the funny little subtle thing, just like this cheesy little, it looks like a little kid character just standing there kind of like smirking a tiny bit. So I think it just has like it just resonates with me every time I look at that face. But if it wasn't that face, probably the taco, the donut, or the unicorn poop, I think is probably runner-ups.
Guys, I am going to wrap it up just because I want to be prompt, because we're going to run 2 of these per week. So I want to thank everybody for coming along today and listening in. Most importantly, I really want to thank the panel of speakers who I invited up to join me. It will be these guys and gals, plus maybe a few other guest appearances that come up every week. And I also really, really want to thank Doug from Toy Boogers and Meela from Robotos, 2 projects that I have massive amounts of respect for. And I think it's been absolutely wonderful to hear their view on what storytelling and narrative and disruption means to their projects, and I think we can all take a lot away from it, and I'm really, really looking forward to bringing the show back to you next Monday. I've got a guest coming on who I will be announcing probably tomorrow, so please do follow me on Twitter so that you are able to pick that up, and I will share the link with everybody probably tomorrow afternoon. So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate Rug Radio also for giving us the opportunity to have this space. And have a wonderful day. I don't have any music to play us out with, so I'll just watch you all with your reactions, emotes, and then we'll end the space. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ben. Beep boop, beep boop, beep,
beep boop.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.